Welcome back to the fifth and final episode of our Rust to Ring series.
So, in the last episode we finished off by travelling home, and we had a 12-hour journey all in all, not including the ferry as well. And yeah, had 6 hours to the ferry from Germany to France, and then 6 hours from Dover all the way back to home where we live in the Lake District. So we did make a stop at Caffeine and Machine on the way back to try and break the journey up a little bit. It wasn't quite enough
Not really,
to break the journey up. It was a
no.
lot of driving. One thing we would say, if you're thinking about doing it and you're driving as far as we did, or if you're coming from further up north in Scotland or somewhere, there are other options. You can get the ferry from Hull or Newcastle. They're just a lot more expensive. So the ferry we got was 160 quid both ways, and to go from Newcastle, when we looked, it was like 450.
The benefit of that though is that it's overnight, isn't it?
And
so you get a spot to sleep, and it just gives you that time to recharge a bit.
Yeah, and so if you've got more people coming with you, sometimes that way can work out all right, because you spread the cost. But when there's two of you, it's not really that cost effective. So we didn't go that way because of
Plus,
that.
we didn't have all the time in the world. We had a long weekend, so we didn't really have 24 hours worth of travelling to give.
Yeah, so it's worth noting, you can go from other places to get the ferry. It just costs a bit more money. But if you've got a long period of time, it is a great way to break the journey up.
Yeah, definitely. Although we did get a little bit of time in the arcade on the ferry home, which was kind of amusing.
We had some Sega Rally.
Are you doing okay there, mate?
No. What is this?
An outrun as well.
Some air hockey.
Air hockey. Yeah. So we've done a little bit of a breakdown on the cost of everything. We didn't really have a budget, or we weren't trying to be cost effective.
No.
But even still, it's actually been quite reasonable. Like,
not as much as we thought it would be. We had the money that we'd made from the work we'd been doing on the cars. So essentially, the only view we had was we're going to enjoy the money that we've made, give something back to ourselves. It would have cost more to go away for a week to Spain for two people.
Yeah. But well, if you went all inclusive somewhere, it definitely would have cost more money.
Especially if you took your missus.
I shouldn't have said that. I should not have said that.
We'll go over the cost, and then we'll go into how I've done it cheaper in the past, because you can do it a hell of a lot cheaper. But we started off with a pretty cheap accommodation. So we searched for accommodation on booking.com. Literally all you have to do is type Nurburgring into booking.com, and it comes up with all the accommodation around there. The accommodation for our 4 nights was...
It was €288, which translates to roughly £250. You can, of course, absolutely go balls out if you want with a hotel. If you were to stay in somewhere like the Piston Close, that would obviously be a lot more expensive. We'll have a look up of the price for a night in the Piston Close and put it here. But I can imagine that's a lot more.
Yeah, it was $250 for our hotel. As I mentioned before, the ferry was 160. That's in pounds. That was for both ways for both of us, like all together.
The big player, of course, in this day and age is fuel. There are a couple of variables with that. We, like we've said, we had to travel from the Lake District to get to the Dover ferry to start off with. Some of you might be a lot closer than that, some of you might be further away. So in the Subaru, it's not the most fuel efficient car.
No.
It's a bit of a thirsty beast. So we were looking at roughly, give or take, £90 per tank of fuel.
We used about a tank and a half each way. And then when we got there, we used another 2 tanks.
On track,
so... That all in all roughly came to £450. Obviously, if we'd gone last year, that would have been half that cost.
Completely.
I have been in other cars in the past, so like I've been in Hondas and stuff, and you probably would use almost half the fuel. So it's not the most fuel efficient thing. Well, because it's turbo and it's permanent four-wheel drive. It depends how many laps you do as well.
Of course, I saw a post of somebody just when we got back that had done 19 laps in 2 days. That's like €700 by itself.
So once we got there, we had other expenses. We had food, which we haven't totted up in total, and we haven't added into the total budget, because obviously it depends where you eat and what you want to do.
We didn't go crazy.
We ate out every every night.
I'll have the lot. A wise choice, monsieur.
We got breakfast at the hotel.
At
Egg, yeah. And it was
good. It was nice.
It was a traditional German breakfast. So we got boiled egg and a plate full of
meats and cheeses.
Yeah, heart attack inducing foods.
Yeah.
And so it was literally just cheese and meat on a plate. But it was enough to keep us going till lunchtime.
It really was. And it was nicely presented. One thing to mention is, even though it was one of the cheaper spots on Booking.com, it was actually really nice. And the chap who owned it was a really nice guy.
Oh yeah, he helped us with everything.
He did. He really did. So, to be honest, in general, everyone we met was really nice.
Yeah.
I have no complaints about any of the people that were there in any of the shops, any of the restaurants. Everyone was fantastic.
Yeah, we had the food. We haven't added it to the total because it really depends on what kind of budget you want to live to. You can take your own food with you. That definitely makes it a lot cheaper.
Absolutely. We were eating out though. I think on average you would maybe looking at about €30 for the
40
two.
euros, yeah.
Because it's not ridiculously expensive.
It was really good value for money for what you got. Like especially at Pinocchio's. If you want to eat out
completely.
cheap every night, just go to Pinocchio's every night. It was so good.
But you'd easily pay twice what we did at Pinocchio's for similar quality in the UK.
Yeah, and then obviously you've got your lap prices, so we've split them up a little bit here because it changed depending on what day you're going. So if you go on a weeknight, which is like Monday to Thursday, they're €25 a lap. If you go on the weekend, so that's Friday to Sunday, they're €30 a lap. So the first day we got 4 laps, 2 laps each, and that came to €100. Then we've got the second day we did another 4 on the Nordschleife, so that was
the Friday afternoon, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So that counted as the €30.
Yeah, so then we were €120 in on that day, and then we did two sessions on the GP track, which were 60.
Yeah, so the GP sessions are priced like 1 lap on the Nordschleife because it's roughly the time spent on track is roughly the same, so they price it the same.
Yeah,
which is quite good, really.
So in total for 8 laps and then 2 laps on the GP track, that came to £243.
So it'd be more in euros, but the translation to pounds is 243.
And then we went karting a lot.
Another go karting. Easy.
Yeah, they got a good amount of money off us with the karting.
Yeah, so karting was £13 for a 10-minute session each. And we spent €120.
We'll let you do the breakdown of that one.
On karting.
So that was £104 in total, divided by 13. I think it was like 6 or 7 sessions each. 7,
I think it was, yeah. So obviously if you're normal, you probably do it once.
You don't have obsessions with
so that is an expense that most people won't have, but it did come to £104. And then we did the Rodelbahn, which was the summer luge that we did. That was €15 for 6 sessions.
3 each, yeah.
So we spent €15 on that, which is £13.
We also visited the Ringworks Museum as well in the main building, and that was £13.80 translated from the euros.
For both
of us, yeah. So that was quite reasonably priced. There are a lot more activities, I'm sure, in the area that you can do. Those are the ones that we could touch on with the limited time that we had. I think in future we might try and allow ourselves more time so we can explore a bit more and do some more stuff.
Yeah, and the thing is, if you go there when there's a bit more on, because there wasn't a huge amount on when we were there, there is a lot of stuff that you can do for free, like go and watch races at the track and things like that. So you don't always have to spend money.
Yeah, we were very much off-peak when we went, which helped with our costs. If you want to do it on a budget, definitely aim for off-peak.
All in all, not including our food, the total came to £12.34 pounds, which split between 2 of us, it was £617 each. Yeah. Which
sounds like a lot.
But when you consider what you would pay to go on holidays somewhere else where you're not even doing anything,
some places you'd pay just that for your flight.
So that was our full holiday and all our activities, which is pretty reasonable, I think.
Of course, yeah. Considering you're paying the entirety of the travel expense, so you've got to feed yourself the entire way. It's not bad, and then you get the comfort of your own car, and you get to No crying babies, a couple of seats in front of you.
We did it without really sparing anything. Like we did exactly what we wanted to do.
Other than the tyres, we didn't really have to.
Yeah, obviously, we spent £550 on tyres, but that was our own stupid mistake for not making sure they were right before we set off.
Hopefully you won't have to spend £550 on tyres.
And that will save you a lot of money in the long run, is if you just absolutely go over your car with a fine tooth comb. Make sure you take loads of spare stuff with you: oil, brake pads, brake fluid. Brake fluid's a big one because you will cook your brake fluid at some point.
Check the back end of your car isn't rotten.
Yes.
If we'd have paid somebody to do that job, that would have been thousands. Yeah. So we saved there, definitely.
Yeah, and just take a good bunch of tools, trolley jack, stuff like that. You'll find most hotels around the area will let you store all your stuff in there. They'll have like a garage or something, and every hotel I've ever been to has been really open to stuff like that, because obviously it's a place where everybody's going there to race.
The
So you can do it a lot cheaper.
In terms of money, we have no money.
So back in 2011, I went to the Nurburgring for the very first time with my friend Ben.
I was in school.
Yeah,
I could not drive.
Duncan was 15 years old, and that makes me feel very old.
Yeah,
it came about in a very weird way, as many things with Ben does. We had been to the cinema. I'd just been through an absolutely awful breakup. I was probably miserable as fuck. And I think Ben was just sick of me moaning and moping about.
Just trying to get a smile on his face.
Yeah, so we were on the way back from the cinema. I forget what we watched. Not important. But yeah, we were coming back from the cinema, and Ben says, "Do you want to go to the Nurburgring tomorrow?" Which was a very Ben thing to say, and I was like, well,
right.
I've got £150 in my bank account, so probably not.
I'm broke, nigga, I'm broke!
He said, we can go for £150, and I was like, yeah, all right, if you can do it for £150, we'll go to the Nurburgring. Obviously, I didn't think he would actually go through with it and be serious, but the next day he came back to me with a graph, which is also very Ben-like.
I mean, I have some graphs I can show you. If you pay attention to these patterns here, you can see on the graphs. I made these on my computer.
Wow. This is the same guy who was a county councillor for a while.
So he'd broken down the whole cost of the trip, petrol, laps. It costed in 4 laps, so two laps each, and driving there, food, everything for £150 each. Obviously, I didn't think that was possible, but everything was obviously much cheaper back then, but petrol was still around about £1 a litre from what I remember.
I wish there was a way to know you're in the good old days before you've actually left them. Someone should write a song about that.
I think it was even, once we crossed the border into Europe, it was a bit more expensive. It could have even been like £1.20, but
it wasn't a Subaru.
It wasn't a Subaru, so we went in a 1.4 GL Honda Civic Saloon, which had been bought for me by the girlfriend I'd just broken up with.
Damn, that's a cold ass honk.
Did you try to crash it?
I did end up crashing it, but not at the Nurburgring. It was the most under-prepped car you could possibly take for them to the Nurburgring. It was a 1.4 1988 Honda Civic automatic. It was absolutely awful. It was slow as shit, but we did it. So Ben had got the ferry tickets. I don't have all the costing of it anymore, but I think from what I remember, the ferry was 40 quid for both of us.
That would have been nice.
Yes. We just did it on a super low budget, so we were only there for 2 days all in all. We slept in the car the whole time, so we drove the same way we went. We went to Dover, slept in the car at Belgium or somewhere once we got there, and then the next morning drove all the way to the Nurburgring. We did 2 days, we did 2 laps each. The first lap was in the pissing wet rain. It was so bad. We literally got to the first corner and nearly binned it. It went completely sideways on us. We were living on a budget. We pretty much had chocolate spread sandwiches for like 2 days.
Nutella.
Yeah, we had Nutella and bread.
What's the word?
Peanut butter.
and that was pretty much our diet for 2 days. I don't recommend doing that. But yeah, it was an awesome trip and it's definitely an experience. So if you want to do it on a budget, you can do. The way I would recommend you do it is the ferry from Dover to Calais, because it's the cheapest way. Go in something economical. The more people you have, the cheaper it will be.
But I don't have any friends.
So if you go with a car with 4 or 5 people in, the cost will dramatically go down per person, just because of you're splitting the fuel, the ferry. The accommodation might be a little bit more depending on what you get, but if you want to have cheap accommodation, you can get a villa, which is what we did when we went with like 7 or 8 of us, and you split it and it works out much cheaper than getting a hotel. The other option is you can camp there, so you can take a tent or you can sleep in your car, basically free.
Why are we tenting? Kill me.
All right.
I wish I was dead.
So
that would work.
Yeah.
Why did we do that?
The only downside to that is if you are going on the Nurburgring, you don't have anywhere to leave all your stuff, so you do have to have all your stuff in the boot of the car when you go on the Nurburgring. So take some bungee cords. You can do it a lot cheaper, so if you're ever thinking about going to the Nurburgring and it's the cost that's putting you off, just do it sensibly. Like, just take food with you, or stop at a supermarket and buy cheap food rather than eating out every night. You can stay in your car, sleep in a tent. I can guarantee if there was 2 of you, you could probably do the whole trip for 250 quid each. I think if you really put your mind to it.
I'm intrigued. The £300 that you did it with Ben in 2011, with inflation, what does that translate to?
I don't know. That's a good question.
£300 in 2011 is only £397.47. So why is everything so expensive?
Yeah. I don't think you could do it for £397. I think £500 you could probably do.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
Considering you've got to feed yourself as well.
Yeah, obviously, you go in a Subaru, you're going to spend more than that in fuel, so maybe don't go in a Subaru. But if you can, honestly, whatever car you took, you would have a good time. You could go in a Micra or
you'd be able to drive a 1010s everywhere.
Yeah, or a Corsa or whatever. It's the experience. Is that you don't have to take the fastest car, and it's probably a good idea not to take the fastest car you could possibly take the first time, especially if you've got no prior track experience.
From my point of view, with it being my first time there, obviously we've spoken about multiple visits for yourself. For my first time, I think the Subaru was a really good car because the 4-wheel drive gives a bit of security.
Yeah, it was very forgiving, wasn't it?
Yeah, because if you were to take a rear-wheel drive car and drive with any sort of enthusiasm there, it would be a lot more treacherous, I feel.
Oh yeah.
So I think the 4-wheel drive of the Subaru, and especially the tyres that we had as well, those tarmac rally tyres were just epic. That meant I could have the best time possible and still be in relatively little danger.
Yeah. The only other cost I would maybe factor in is make sure you have fresh brakes.
We didn't have to use them, but we did have a spare set of brake pads in the back of the car at all times.
Yeah. Put some fresh brake fluid in, regardless of when it was changed, and just make sure you've got some good tyres. Don't go on budget tyres because you'll have a blowout or you'll slide out. Take some good tyres with you and you'll be pretty safe.
And other than that, just have fun.
Yeah.
Because like Ash has said, you don't have to absolutely go for it because you just run the risk of putting yourself in a lot of debt and in a really bad situation.
And you do see people driving past their driving capabilities and it's just go at a pace that you're happy with. You don't have to go flat out the first time.
What are those things? Were those the other cars?
Just work your way up each lap.
As long as you're enjoying yourself, that's all that really matters.
Yeah.
Because you're in an amazing place, with amazing people probably, just enjoy it for what it is.
Yeah, and it's an awesome place. I think a lot of people think it's very overhyped, but it's completely the opposite. It is an amazing place that it's way better than you expect it to be when you get there.
Hopefully we've shown you a bit more of what the Nurburgring is and the area, because certainly from my point of view, again, having never been, I just thought it was the track in Germany and that was just it. But it is this whole community, and it's focused on the track, but it's not focused on it to an extent where you can't enjoy anything else.
Yeah.
There is so much for it to give.
And for the most part, everybody is super friendly. Like, you'll go up to people and talk to them in the car park, and they're always really open to like talking to you and letting you know about their car and things like that. So
the only unpleasant person that we experienced during the entire time wasn't from Germany.
Yeah.
That goes to show.
Yeah.
That is our Nurburgring trip. That is wrapped up.
Oh no! Anyway.
Moving on, we have quite a lot of exciting projects ready for the future.
Yeah, so in the future we are very much going to change the dynamic of the YouTube channel, because we think the way we've been doing it previously isn't working anymore. It worked when I first started, but I think trying to drop a video every week just isn't sustainable while we've both got jobs. So we've decided that from now on we're going to do things in a series rather than doing a video a week, and that'll give us time to edit them properly, film them properly, not have to rush. We're very much going to clear the garage out of all the jobs that we do for everybody else. We're going to be focusing solely on the YouTube channel, and we're going to start by fixing this Accord that we've been meaning to fix for the last 6 months.
Should have gone to the Nurburgring.
That we should have gone to the Nurburgring, yeah. And then once we've finished that, we are going to do a very extensive build series on the EK VTI Civic behind us.
That one will be very much a long-term project. It could take upwards of a year, but it will be extremely in-depth. There will be a lot of tutorial stuff in terms of learning to do bodywork. I'm still very much learning. I think there's still some things that you have to learn as well.
I'm not an expert by any means.
So it'll be learning for us. You can learn with us. It'll be really quite enjoyable. There will be bigger breaks between the video series, but releasing them in the series we feel will be much better for you guys, being able to keep track of what we're doing.
Well, yeah, and you won't have to wait months for each build, because we'll be just doing one at a time rather than trying to do the Accord, jump onto the Civic, jump onto the Subaru, the 86, and at the moment it's just chaotic and everywhere. We're going to try and be a bit more focused.
And, we have big plans, very big plans.
Yeah, with the EK, it'll be a very extensive build, so we are going to strip it to a bare shell, literally completely everything, and by the time we're finished it will be like a brand new car. So
we might even zero the clocks on it. It's going to be that much of a new car.
Yeah. So yeah, you've got that to look forward to, and hopefully these videos have made you realise that we are up in our game a little bit.
We're getting a bit more serious. It's not going to be total silence from us. There will be bits and bobs going on our social media, on Instagram, on TikTok, and we will still have little bits on YouTube as well in between times.
Yeah.
But the main features will be block series, and we'll be able to drop them days apart rather than weeks or months.
Yeah, hopefully you've enjoyed the Nurburgring series. We've really enjoyed making it. It's been so good. We'll catch you in the next one, which will be this Accord at some point.
See you soon.
See you soon.